Craig O'Boyle, and I want to welcome you to the inaugural edition of the Real Estate Shed Show. It's taking place and being filmed in my personal workshop where I have my passion, which is what real estate supports, which is mountain biking, and a place where I come to use my tools to work on my bike, keep it operating smoothly and well. My theory behind doing this show was be real, talk about real estate and the tools that are required to do real estate in all its forms. So what I'd like to talk about today, firstly I'll start with introducing who I am. Like I said, I'm Craig O'Boyle. I operate the O'Boyle Real Estate Group in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I've been in real estate since I was 19 years old. I got licensed October of 1995. So coming up on 23 years, I think now. Primarily my company, we focus on residential sales, but we do a bit of everything. We have a property management division, we have a commercial division, and I have a pretty sizable investment portfolio division as well for everything that you can think of. So the topic I want to talk about today, the first topic I want to cover is something that I get asked by clients, random people, at least, I'm going to say 5 times a year. And that's when somebody comes to me and says, I want to get into real estate. Usually the first thing I say to them is, let's sit down, let's have a conversation about real estate, because what it looks like on the outside is sometimes not really in line with what turns out to be reality for most people once they get into the industry. So first thing, let's talk about what it looks like on the outside. The age of the real estate celebrity is there, because we have shows on A&E and all over TV with real estate agents kind of bringing drama into the industry, and huge big numbers on commissions and what they make and the lifestyle and all the neat bells and whistles to it. There's an element to that, for sure. I will not say there isn't an element to that, but the reality of real estate is something that people need to look at before they make the jump into the industry. First thing that, and I'll speak specifically to Colorado, it may be different from state to state. License law usually is different from state to state. But I'll talk specifically about Colorado in the process. So let's start with what it takes to get licensed. Well, in the state of Colorado, you have to have 168 hours of education. Then once you do that, you can take a state mandated test where you have to get at least 75% score or greater, and then you can apply for your license, join a company, and go from there. So in that 168 hours, the cost to do that generally runs a person, if they were to do an online path, probably in the $600-700 range, up to about $1,500 for classes, like live classes. So right out the gate, you're laying out money. On average, depending on which path you go, it takes a person 2 to 4 months on average to go through the 168 hours of classes, if they are really putting in the time. I've known people who did the online version, and that path took them almost a year, sometimes more. So once you've taken the classes, 168 hours, next you've got to take the licensing exam. That runs about $80. Most people, I believe, take it more than once, because if you don't get that 75% score, you can take it as many times as you want, as many times you pay for it, until you do pass it. Let's see here. Once you've gotten the passing score, it's time to apply for your license. One of the things that a lot of people do need to know up front, you do have to pass a background check. You have to pay for that, fingerprints, send that stuff into the state. If you've got a criminal background, sorry, you're not going to be allowed into the industry. Applying for your license with the state of Colorado, I believe, runs about $495. So if you've done the live class or the more expensive end, the licensing your licensing test, you're over $2,000 already. Now you're kind of in the point where you're able to go and be licensed. You've applied for your license. That probably means you've selected a company. You do have to select a company. You cannot go into real estate and open your own company until you've been into it for at least 2 years. Lots of different companies out there. Most of them want to hire you if you can get a license and fog a mirror. So they're in the business of bringing as many productive agents on as they can. And in your local market, you've got to join what's called a board of realtors. Pikes Peak Association of Realtors is our local board. To join our local board is going to run you about $950. So now you're getting pretty close to the $3,000 entrance mark. Let's see. Now, once you've joined a company, this is kind of where it gets real. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. Really what you've done and all that process of getting licensed, getting your education, all of that, you have just bought a business. Because you've been writing checks to get that to that point, but that doesn't stop once you join a company. From there, now you've got to go find people to do real estate with. That's actually the hard part. A lot of people think learning the contracts and learning the process of real estate and learning all of the ins and outs of real estate legally is actually the hard part. While that's very important, that's a big piece. What people fall down on is the fact that they've got to go find somebody to do business with. Because let's say you go and you join RE/MAX or Coldwell Banker or ERA. I mean, there's a plethora of companies out there. Primarily, your role there is to do deals or to pay them to be in a space so that you can do deals. I've been in a lot of companies over the year before I opened my own, a lot of different scenarios. The traditional old model is kind of commission split. You come into the office, you go out and do transactions. The house or the brokerage takes a percentage of the deal and you take a percentage of the deal. That could be 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, 90-10, lots of different splits out there. Or you might be at a shop where you're paying a desk fee. There's no split, you keep 100% of your commissions, but you might pay them $1,200 a month just to walk in the door. That give you office space and stuff like that. There are some newer models out there, things where you pay a fee per transaction that you close, might be a little lower. That's probably a good thing for new agents starting out, because at the end of the day, as with any business, cash flow is king. And what kills most agents in this business is a lack of cash flow. You go through this process to get licensed, which takes time. You get on, you're going, you've spent money. Now you're out there to find business, and as a business owner, you've got to do things from marketing and just the logistics, things like vehicles and phones and business cards and all kinds of stuff, right? That all takes cash flow. So I like to give people a little bit of a clue onto the real stats of what to expect now that you're licensed and in business. Well, you watch all these shows, you might see guy sells $1 million house, right? That's at 3%, he's making $30,000 expected. Great. The National Association of Realtors, which is our trade organization, they run a lot of stats, great resources. The average gross income of a realtor was $42,500 in 2016, which was an increase from $39,200 in 2015. So, wow, where are these great numbers? I mean, one deal, you're at the average. I would say that the average realtor who starts out in their first year is pretty lucky to do anywhere between 1 and 7 deals. So let's say you've done that 7 deals and you've averaged $5,000 a closing. You're getting pretty close to that number of average. But let's look at that in context with your expenses of your business, because you are a business owner. You're going to have expenses to make that. Well, let's just say you're on a split, right? And you've made $40,000 gross commissions in your first year, but you're on a 50-50 split. What'd you really make? You made $20,000, right? And then you had to spend money to get your license. There's the $3,000 you spent, business cards, gas, just driving around, cell phone bill, all that stuff. Very quickly, you're underwater. Another stat that I think people need to be aware of, I can't really cite the source, it's very common in our industry, but 80% of the people that get into this business are no longer in this business after the first 2 years, and primarily that is because of the financial pressures that are around owning this business that you've got. Another stat that I think is pretty important to know, let's say you make it past that first 2 years. Let's go out to 5 years. Of the 20% who made it past the first 2 years, another 80% of them are out in 5 years. And that's for 2 reasons. The same reason as the first, financial pressure. Once you've gotten past that 2 years, you probably had ups and downs in your income. Very much looks like a wave, because you might have months where you do 2, 3, 4 deals. Then you might have months where you do 0 or 1. But maybe you made it past the 2 years, you got enough financial wherewithal to keep it going, keep the business going. But then the lifestyle challenges of this industry start to come into play. It is not like a 9-to-5 job. You don't show up. A lot of people get into this industry, they think they're going to give time freedom. Well, you might be surprised that on Sunday night at 6 p.m., you're dealing with a contract, or you're out showing a buyer and you're not with your family. You might be surprised that it's the 40-hour work week that you used to work is actually going to double. You might end up some weeks with 80. So it's an industry that as you get to that 5-year mark, it can create a lot of burnout if you don't have the proper systems in place to manage and keep balance in your life. So let's see. At the end of the day, I guess I want to talk about, in the final analysis, I try to tell people when they come to meet me is, are you prepared to do what it takes financially and what it takes emotionally to make a career out of real estate? Do you have the financial ability to get through the start phase? A lot of people will try and do a scenario where, they're getting into real estate kind of part-time, they've got their other job, and they're trying to do both. I don't see a lot of success out of that. It does happen occasionally, but it's kind of an industry where you've got to put all your chips on the table and go full bore. Are you prepared to sacrifice some of your free time? Are you prepared to get out there? A lot of people watch these shows or they watch stuff and they think, this looks like me. I love homes. I love people. I want to do it. But there's a lot of sacrifices that come to it over time. Now, the longer you're in this business, I think if you made it 5 years and you stay in past that, you're probably ruined from doing anything else. I've never done much of anything else, so I can't speak a lot to other types of careers and stuff like that, but it can be a great business. You're never going to fully get away from the financial pressures or the potential for burnout, but you can learn to manage those things. You can learn to develop both financial balance and family balance in your life if you do it right. If you are really dead set after this video and thinking about still getting into real estate, my number one recommendation to you is to start focusing on how you are going to get business. Where's that business going to come from? Because you show up at a company, generally they're not putting leads in front of you. You have to generate your own business. I would focus, there's a lot of great systems out there, I would focus on that more than I would focus on figuring out how I'm going to get licensed and what company I'm going to work for first. Because if you come into the marketplace with a way to generate your business right off the bat, well, sky's the limit. So anyway, hope I've armed you with some great tools to get out there and pursue your real estate career. If you've got any questions, once again, my name is Craig O'Boyle. I own the O'Boyle Real Estate Group in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I'd be happy to chat with you. Leave a message in the comments, or feel free to give me a call. My office number is 719-576-7373. Hope you have a great day, and thanks a bunch.